Good morning. Welcome to the first five of my Mendocino Community Hour. Seems like we have a delay. Hold on. I'm your host, Townley Saye. This is your monthly connection to the people and programs building a stronger future for our youngest children and their families. First Five Mendocino is all about supporting parents and caregivers in Mendocino County because we know that the impact made during the first 5 years of a child's life will last a lifetime. Each month, we explore the 5 pillars of early childhood. They include health and wellness, early learning, parent education and support, trauma-informed care, and community advocacy. So we hope you stay with us to find resources, hear stories, and get inspired. Today, I'm joined by my colleague, Bonnie Boek. Do you want to introduce yourself, Bonnie?
Hi, my name is Bonnie Boek. I am the program director at First Five Mendocino with the Raise and Shine Family Resource and Empowerment Center. I'm so happy to be here.
So glad to have you here. And it's kind of special to be here with Bonnie today because Bonnie and I are going to be also presenting next week at a conference here in Mendocino County that's hosted by the Mendocino County Office of Education. It's called Rooted in Belonging, Cultivating Resilient Schools and Minds. And so what we're going to be presenting on, it'll be on Wednesday, June 24th, or I think registration might still be open. You can go on the MCOE's website and just put in their search Rooted in Belonging. I'll try to find the actual link for you guys. But we're going to be presenting on what's called the Community Resiliency Model. And this model is an international model that was created and supported, co-founded in the Trauma Resource Institute, which is an international nonprofit. Elaine Miller-Carras she co-founded it in 2006. She offers workshops on the Community Resiliency Model. In addition, there's teacher trainings that are offered through the Trauma Resource Institute. It's a 5-day teacher training. Thousands of individuals representing all kinds of natural leaders around the communities and mental health practitioners have been trained in the model. To date, the model has been translated into 17 languages, which I just think is fantastic, and has been implemented in 75 countries. If you're interested in reading about her book, she does have a book called Building Resilience to Trauma, the Trauma and Community Resilience Models. So I thought it would be helpful for our audiences to kind of learn maybe how we came upon this, Bonnie. Like, do you want to start or do you want me to jump in? Like, do you want to share, like, how did you get introduced to the model?
Well, I started working with you at First Five in 2017, and it was 1 week after the Redwood Valley Complex fire.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And my whole family, my parents lost their home and came to live with me. And amongst many other people, I had 11 people in my 2-bedroom house.
Yeah, that was an intense time.
Yeah. So we had at First Five, a brush up session workshop on CREM, and I went to that and learned the skills.
Nice. Yeah. And so for our listeners, the Community Resiliency Model can be referred to as CREM, kind of like how CRM sounds, CREM, or sometimes you'll hear it referred to as CRM or TRM. So we might use those terms interchangeably in the program. So that's great. Yeah. So I think that, yeah, I remember when those fires came through and we did a refresher and we were, I remember at the college, actually, they were, opening up some spaces for families to come into who had lost their homes. And we were going and doing some sessions, using these skills for people who had experienced some kind of loss. So, yeah. Did you find the model helpful at that time?
I did. I went home that day of the workshop and I did it with my mother.
Oh,
and she absolutely loved it.
Good.
Yeah, it was very useful and it really helped a lot of people in the community at that time.
And I have to say, Bonnie, you've used and helped me with the skills when I've have to public speak and I get nervous or what have you. And so you've walked me through some grounding exercises. And I found them really, really helpful as well. You're really, really talented in this. So
yeah, I just love it.
And I'm really excited to be doing this, this conference with you, this conference session. Again, the conference session is called Rooted in Belonging. It will be out of MCOE. And so, yeah, it's going to be really fun. Go ahead.
Do you want to talk about how you came to it?
Oh, I guess so. Oh, yeah. I was really, really resistant to the model, actually. I was implementing a lot of the positive parenting program known as Triple P in the community, doing a lot of work with parents. And I just felt like I didn't need one more thing to do, in all honesty. It was kind of funny, right? And so I had a lunch with Elaine and another coworker at the time who was working with F5M Mendocino, and just really talked about, my resistance. And she actually, I think, was using the skills on me at the time, now that I look back at it. And so I said, okay, I'm interested in learning. And so I went down to Claremont and did the 5-day training in Claremont. There was probably over 150 people in my training. And I realized that it was such a key cornerstone piece of really getting parents engaged, even in the parenting program that I was trying to promote, right? So, I think that, like everything, we have a resistance to things. And so we push back on things that feel maybe unknown or uncomfortable. And that was definitely this model for me. So I understand when resistance comes or shows up, I see it. I was like, yeah, I know. Because when you talk about this model, I think the thing that I consider myself a very logical person. And so, I want to think my way through the problems instead of sense my way through the problems. And, because sensations can be really overwhelming to a nervous system, especially when there's trauma and what have you. So this is why this model is so helpful and impactful in areas like when there has like a natural disaster, because that's an intense trauma. But feeling the sensations of loss and gratitude, even, there are big emotions, big sensations. And I was just really resistant to that. I was like, I want to just think my way through it. And then I realized that that's probably a lot of the reasons why parents also don't seek support. And I'm such an advocate for helping parents be their best selves with their children and have the best relationship with their children, that I really did it because I really wanted to deepen that connection. And using this model has really been very impactful in my own family. My youngest suffers from a lot of anxiety, and she's just naturally kind of has a narrower resilience zone. She just kind of came in that way. And so using the skills has really helped her kind of widen her ability to withstand even normal stresses like exams at school or what have you, right? Where they used to really bump her out of her zone. And again, these are terminologies that the model uses: zone and resilience, bumping out of areas in high zone and low zones. But, and we'll introduce some of those terms to our listeners today. But that's how I came to the model. And, now it's really, really embedded in my nervous system. That's my go-to.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you find that you just kind of lean into it naturally now without really even thinking about it?
Just driving to work every day. Mm-hmm. I notice the green colors of the trees or my hands on the steering wheel to help me self-regulate while I'm driving. So
I love that. Yeah. The key, and I guess we can just talk about maybe some of the key concepts of the model. It's hard to kind of think and find a universal definition of resilience, right? And what's come up of late is that the word even resilience can be kind of weaponized, right? Like, oh, people are resilient, they don't need help. Like, oh, kids are resilient, they can withstand trauma, right? And that's true for a lot of reasons, right? And when we think about the levels of types of stress, and maybe our listeners would benefit from kind of learning that there's typically 3 levels of stress, right? There's that good kind of stress that is kind of you're excited about your birthday, or you're excited about maybe you have like maybe even a test at school, or like your driving exam or what have you. It's a good kind of stress, right? Like, it's okay to be stressed. It's temporary. It's going to dissipate soon. and it's going to be gone. And then there's, what's the other stress? Hold on. There's not toxic stress. I want to get up to toxic stress. And then there's,
the kind of stress that's a little more challenging, but you can navigate it.
Yes. It's short-lived stress.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's tolerable stress. Mm-hmm. So it's time limited. Typically, we see this around sometimes maybe a loss of a pet. It could be maybe even a loss of a family member or a friend. It's tolerable. It's usually, grief has variations of stress, right? Mm-hmm. But typically with tolerable stress, a balance of some sort will return to the nervous system. And toxic stress is the stress that we really want to eliminate or reduce as much as possible. And that's that ongoing and relentless stress or body responses to intense stressors. So
too much, too long.
Too much, too long, or not enough, for too long, So, there's like neglect or what have you. So there's these types of different stresses. And when those stresses don't have the opportunity to become metabolized or integrated, then we start seeing those things that the adverse childhood experiences study found to be really having, significant health concerns like heart attacks and diabetes and strokes and what have you. So it really does compromise our nervous system over time. Yeah.
Yeah. And talking about resilience and the community resiliency model, it's really about having a choice in how you respond to that stress and choosing how you navigate it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. CRM kind of folds in a lot of different things around when they're defining what resilience looks like. It's acknowledging the individual and collective suffering as well as those individual and collective strengths, right? It's not just being toxically positive, but it's really understanding the individual and collective strengths and suffering. And I think that that's why this model is so acceptable and adaptable across ages. We've seen it being implemented with children and teens and with elders, with veterans, with incarcerated people. It works across cultural divides and different, variations of cultural ethnicities, as well as like able-bodied differences that we might have.
Anyone can do it anywhere, anytime.
Yeah. I guess you could do it if you have a nervous system, right? But it's also, I think that part of that, the definition that CRM uses is, through acknowledging those individual and collective suffering and strengths, you create this optimism and this hope and this flexibility that leads to more solution-focused thinking, right? So you're able to problem solve a lot better. And then it helps also to embody your own well-being, to have a greater sense of how well you feel, like what are your wellnesses. And then when we can do that, we can really tap into our compassion and empathy for others and for ourselves. And so I love all of those different elements of combining, of resilience. And so again, going back to what you said, the capacity to withstand and to recover from difficulties, but really the ability to choose how you're going to respond in any given situation. Yeah. I think it's really powerful. Did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. And it's just really about not, going back to a knee-jerk reaction, maybe that you learned as a child of how to deal with a situation, but having the tools to, notice that you're experiencing something that is a problem and choosing how you're going to react to it. It's really empowering.
It is very empowering. I agree. So for those listeners that are just tuning in, you're listening to the First 5 Mendocino Community Hour. I'm here with Bonnie Boek, and we are talking about the Community Resiliency Model and we are presenting this model to a set of educators and people and parents at the upcoming conference offered at Mendocino County Office of Education called Rooted in Belonging. It's a conference designed to cultivating resilient schools and minds. And so some of the key objectives of our workshop are going to be helping to understand the connection between nervous system regulation, belonging, and student engagement, because I think that's a key thing about belonging and how effective students are able to learn, right? Like when their nervous system is more regulated, children and students are just going to be more available to engage in appropriate behavior, as well as the lessons that are being presented. They'll also learn how to recognize signs of high, low, and resilient zones in themselves and others, and we'll talk about those zones as I kind of like adhere to this model in a few minutes. And then we're going to offer just a few skills that can be used immediately in the classroom and in other youth serving settings. And we have a little design of sample of a belonging reset, like how to build to support resilience and connection and learning in the classroom. So I'm super excited about it. Are you excited?
I'm really excited. It's been my dream and our dream. I think we've talked about it for almost 9 years of
we really have
trying to get it into the classrooms more.
Been a while. Yeah. When you think about CRM being used regularly in the classroom, like, what does that mean to you, Bonnie, as having, your child is still in school?
Yeah, I think it starts with the teacher having the skills so that they can self-regulate themselves, because children feel the teacher's energy. Yes. So if the teacher has the skills before the children enter the classroom, that helps. And then for the teachers to be able to notice when children are dysregulated. Or even some schools do have like resilience charts where the children can come in and say where they're at as they come into the classroom, if they're feeling high or low, and it gives them a chance to just check in with themselves, which is very empowering. And then, for the teachers to be able to notice if a child's dysregulated and maybe have some skills they can give them, or for the child to be able to express it to the teacher, like, I'm not feeling well, I need to sit over here and have some downtime.
Yeah. And really be able to discern, I think, if a teacher has those tracking skills, they're more able to discern, is the student really sick, or they're trying to get out of an assignment, or are they, really be able to track better? Like, okay, did something else happen? Is this emotional or physical? As far as like what happens.
Yeah. And I think teachers do it all the time. And it's just to give them additional skills.
Absolutely. Yeah, they are. Yeah. Teachers are they're like the angels in our schools. I swear to gosh. They just are doing so many things. I was trying to hold on. We bring so many materials in here to kind of talk about and then going through them. But one key concept of this model is we keep referring to this thing as called the resilient zone, right? And so it's really, it's not a physical zone in your nervous system. It's just the capacity of your nervous system to be able to withstand stressors. And how this model refers to it is when you're in the zone, basically, or when you're in your okay zone or your zone of well-being, or I've heard some trainers refer to it as the I got this zone, like I can handle it, right? When you're in this zone, you're able to experience a full range of emotions: sadness, happiness, tiredness, hunger, or whatever, without it becoming without it causing a dysregulated state. And what dysregulation looks like is when you're either in a low zone where your body is just really like slowing down, maybe a little bit depressed, maybe just increased sadness, inability to kind of motivate and do the things that you need to do. Or sometimes, more often, and we see this when you get stuck in a high zone. I don't know if you've ever been stuck in a high zone, Bonnie.
Definitely.
Where you're just kind of like, and this happens a variety of ways, right? And then when you get bumped out of your zone, it could be a moment or, just a few seconds or a few minutes. And then you do a skill and you get back into a zone where maybe you're still in your okay zone, but maybe you're a little higher in that zone, but you're not dysregulated anymore. You're still able to problem solve and critically think. But when we get stuck in that zone where we have, road rage, right? Where we're just always angry or just any little thing ticks us off. I don't know if our listeners know of anybody that we walk around eggshells on. Those people are probably stuck in some kind of zone, either high or low, right? Yeah. Do you want to say anything more about that? Or
yeah, I think, and the key is to notice, to be one step ahead of it, ideally, and noticing when you might be getting irritated and catching it before you get there even. Exactly. So using the skills not only to get you out of the zone, but to catch yourself before you even get there. Yes, is the big goal, and to widen your ability to navigate the highs and lows that we go through all day long.
Yeah. Really. Yeah. And I love that you said that, to widen your zone. And I noticed that, I naturally have a wider zone in the morning because I'm a morning person. I have my tolerance for things is much greater in the morning. And I noticed that, during the day, my zone naturally gets lower or narrower. My tolerance gets less. And I think a lot of parents struggle with that too. By the end of the day, we're just like the witching hour of bedtime routines and evening cooking routines. Like we all kind of have that, which is a natural, I think, ease and flow. But these skills can help keep that zone a little bit wider as your natural tendency for narrowness is going to happen, right? And I love that, being one step ahead. And this model, we call that tracking, right? So you're tracking your nervous system, you're observing your biological rhythms of like heart rate and breath and maybe some body tensions or whatever, where you're carrying things and really just allowing yourself to notice what else is true. Like, is there anything that's not stressed right now? Or can you do some pressing down onto the desk or feeling your feet on the ground to really remind yourself that you're stable and you can do this. You got this.
Yeah. And in the community resiliency model, it is called tracking, and also we could call it awareness, just an awareness of what is going on inside.
Yeah.
And that's
absolutely.
the very first step.
That's the very first step. Yeah. And it is the very first step. And it's not about mental weakness, right? And I think that when I first got introduced to this model, I like to think myself out of things, and then I would shame myself when I couldn't, right? I would think, well, do better. Like, why didn't you think about this? Or why didn't you do that? And so I love that this really focuses on the biology, right? And we all have sensations, and they're very universal. I mean, I love that this has been in 75 different countries, and universally all of these sensations are felt in all of these different places, right?
We all have a nervous system.
We all have a nervous system. Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think having that awareness and, like you're saying, not beating yourself up for the emotions you're having, because that is actually a sign of wellness that you are having a reaction. That's very natural. It's how you navigate the reaction.
It's how you navigate the reaction. Yeah. Yeah. And that's where that choice comes in, where you mentioned it. Yeah, absolutely. There was, a trainer that I trained with the Trauma Resource Institute, recently last year when I was doing a teacher training. And, I learned so much from how she kind of communicates this model. And one of the key things that she said to this group that we were training, who were actually, fire survivors of the Los Angeles, fires. And they were saying, well, why do I even need to use this model? It's not going to rebuild my house. It's not going to reconnect me with people and things I've lost, And she's like, no, it's not. It's really not. It's not going to return anything that you've lost. But I like to liken it like if you're basically walking in the Sahara Desert right now. You're walking through a desert, and in walking through that desert, you're going to need sips of water. You're going to need something to drink. And this model offers you sips of wellness. So in times of strife, in times of hardship, and in times that you're even not in a desert and just need a little reset or whatever, they're your sips, they're your hydration for your wellness, right? Like, so you can sense what else is true in your nervous system besides the suffering or the grief or the hardship. Because there's always that what else is true. And so I really loved that analogy.
I love that.
You know, I'm just like, oh yeah, you know.
It's like baby steps.
Baby steps. Yeah, absolutely. We all, you know, we don't need to always just take it, you know. And I think, I was just looking for something else do you want to say something else about that?
Well, just in the autonomic nervous system is talked about in CRUM and Community Resiliency Model. And so, yeah, sometimes just we need to kick it into gear. You need to pass the car and step on the gas. Mm-hmm. And other times you need to slow it down. And the CRUM skills are to help you slow it down and when you need it. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to talk more about that autonomic and sympathetic?
Yeah, well, the sympathetic nervous system is when your system's kicking into gear. So you might notice yourself sweating, your heart rate goes up, you might get really hot, your pupils dilate. Mm-hmm. And those are just some signs that you know you're being triggered. You might have tension in your shoulders. The parasympathetic nervous system is when you are your heart rate slows down, your pupils get smaller, your breathing rate goes down. And so the key in navigating your emotions is to notice when you're getting triggered and your autonomic nervous system's reacting. Yeah. And so the CRUM skills are really to invoke the parasympathetic. And that is when healing happens. You can do that through meditation too, or these breathing, slowing your breathing down, noticing 6 colors in the room. Talk about the skills more in a minute, but CREM is really about Community Resiliency Model. It's really about invoking the parasympathetic when you choose to, when it's needed.
Absolutely. And I do like this idea of using what's already innately yours, right? Your nervous system, right? So you're not having to buy anything. You're not having to purchase anything. It's not like you need a yoga mat, but they might want one, but you know, you can do this anywhere, right? And when we worked with fire survivors in Butte County, when the Paradise Fire came through, Elaine and I did a lot of trainings in the Butte County area. And I worked in the FEMA tent and worked with helping, people fill out forms and what have you, right? And this one woman came in and was just so frustrated. She was just like, she was so elevated in her high zone, right? The idea of sitting down and writing with a pen was just too much. It was too slow for her. And so I just invited her to come and do a help now skill, which was pushing against the wall. And so I said, you know, do you want to just go push against this wall over here with me? I'm just going to go do this and just, you know, I didn't tell her why. I didn't tell her whatever. And we pushed against the wall for not more than like 10 or 15 seconds. And because, you know, when we talk about the nervous system, there's activation, right? And so when you were overly activated, we get a lot more sensations typically in our hands. This is why when we're elevated and feeling the sensations and like anger or frustration, we want to fight something because that activation is in our arms, it's in our hands. This has been proven through lots of research of just a lot of different like little areas. And so I could tell she was really activated in her arms. And so we pushed against the wall for like 10 or 15 seconds. And then her nervous system, her parasympathetic system kicked on and she started laughing. And she was like, and then she moved into tears, but that was the nervous system getting back into her regulation, she had this huge laughter release. She had some tears release. And then she was like, okay, what do I need to fill out again? And then we sat down and completed all the paperwork she needed for her FEMA application. And so it was just that one thing of just like a 15 second reset, help her nervous system remind her that she was safe. There was nobody to fight here. There was nobody to argue with here. And I just love seeing it, that the skill being used in a way that was just so immediate.
And that's what's amazing. It doesn't take more than 12, 17 seconds to even just change the pathways in your brain too.
Right.
So you can really do it quickly. You could do it during a meeting. No one would know you're doing a skill.
Right.
Anytime.
Yeah.
And children learn it so easily.
Oh, they are little sponges.
Maria and Andres at First Five they taught it at the Boys and Girls Club, as you know, and the children just soaked it up and went home and taught it to their parents.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
It's very easy to learn.
It's very easy to learn. So for those listeners who are just tuning in, you are listening to the First 5 Mendocino Community Hour here on KZYX. This is a listener-supported radio program, as all the programs are on KZYX. So even if we're not doing a fundraising drive, always feel free to go on kzyx.org and feel free to donate if you enjoy listening to any of the programs that you're hearing today. We are talking about the Community Resiliency Model. I'm joined with myself, Townley, and Bonnie from First 5 Mendocino. And we're sharing some things about the Community Resiliency Model, but also because we're going to be presenting this model to a conference at the Mendocino County Office of Education next Wednesday on June 24th from 8 to 3:30 p.m. It's going to be at the Coyote Valley Wyndham Garden in Redwood Valley. I believe you can still register. So, or maybe registration was from... I don't know. I think you can still register. Go to the website. You can go to mcoe.us and then see if it's still open. I think the registration is still open. But it's going to be a great afternoon. We're going to be talking about some practical strategies for teachers to use in the classroom on themselves and for their students.
And we also offer the training around the county in certain circumstances. So reach out to us if you are interested.
Thank you for that plug. Yeah, if you are interested in becoming a CRM trained person or a guide or whatever, please reach out to us. You can call us 462-4453.
Or 1233.
Or 4123. What was, you say the number.
462-1233. Well, there's a few numbers.
There's a few numbers.
You go to our website.
There's a few numbers. Go to our website and you can learn. Send us an email at admin at first5mendo.org as well. So all the things.
Do you want to talk about brain science or just
I would love to talk about brain science. I think it's always interesting to learn about the brain. Do you want to talk about some brain science? Yeah, let's do it.
Sure.
Well,
we talk about in the Community Resiliency Model, the three main parts, the three organizing principles of the brain. And there's the amygdala in the middle that is the barking dog that really lets you know when something is happening. It's the fire alarm. And then there is the hindbrain in the back that is the flight or freeze part of the brain, the reaction, kick it into gear part of the brain. And that's in the back of your neck. And then the prefrontal cortex is really the wise old owl that comes in like a warm blanket over the front of your brain and tells you that everything's either okay or yes, you do need to put it into action, but let's do it calmly.
Yeah.
And so what the Community Resiliency Model works on is that warm blanket, wise old owl, the prefrontal cortex part of the brain, that warm blanket to say, hey, it's okay, let's react in a way that we want to, not just a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there is real brain science behind these very simple, approachable skills.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, the amygdala is all driven by sensations. So it keeps you, there's an image, and if we were teaching this on where you could see us, we would show you that image. But Elaine has an image, if you can imagine, a person with a very disorganized suitcase, and there's clothes coming out the sides and it can't close and what have you. And those are all the experiences you've ever had, right? So those are your childhood experiences, some that you may remember, some that you may not. But your amygdala is really smart and it holds all of those sensations. So if you were scared by a dog or what have you, that memory's in there, and that's the reason why you don't like certain barking dogs or what have you, right? And it calls the amygdala, like you said, the barking dog. It's the warning system. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. I don't know what exactly it is, but this feels unsafe, right? This feels like you should pay attention to something. And that's very, it's there for a reason. It's there to protect us. And it's very, very intelligent. And so when that barking dog goes on, it really kind of sets off that whole nervous system. It can stimulate your fight or flight and really make that wise owl, as you said, fly off, and then you're not doing any cognitive thinking. And if you're interested in that model, I think Dan Siegel talks about it. He has a hand model. So if you were to look down at your hand, like say if you're just looking now as a listener down at your right hand, open up at you. If you take your right thumb and just fold it into the inside of your hand and then fold your forefingers down, that's basically your prefrontal cortex. The front of your fingers would be your forehead. And so that stem brain, that stem cell, that stem area would be your wrists. And so you really have like a model of those three primary principles of your brain in your hand. So if you can always remember, if the amygdala is firing or barking, and activated, then that rise owl is not able to really rest and sit right there and fold everything and protect everything.
Yeah, and a very simple example is just like if you're a parent and your child spills milk on the floor.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
You might freak out. Oh my gosh, there's something on the floor. And maybe you got in big trouble when you were little for spilling milk. You could instead, use a skill, something as simple as taking a deep breath or pushing on the table, and then realize you're invoking that prefrontal cortex and realize, oh, it's not a big deal. I can just wipe it up.
Right.
It's just something as simple as that.
I love that example.
Very usable. And I think we've all experienced that.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I love that example. It's so attainable.
Should we jump into some of the skills?
Yeah, absolutely. What skill would you like to talk about?
Should we start with resourcing?
Yeah, resourcing. Would you like to introduce that, or you want me to? You want to talk about it?
Sure.
Good at it.
The first thing I want to say is all the skills are to bring you into the present moment, because when we are stressed, we tend to be worried about the future. When you have anxiety, and when you're sad or depressed, or low, you might be more stuck in the past. And so these skills, and any really mindfulness skill, is to bring you into the moment. And that's the key, and the precious present. And so the resourcing skill, I just love, because it's a person, place, or thing. And you think about any person, place, or thing and focus on any descriptive pieces of that. I love to think about the beach. So, you can think of at least 3 descriptive things about the beach for me. So maybe there's warm sand. Maybe I hear seagulls making their seagull noises and flying through the air, and the waves crashing on the beach, and notice that the sun's really warm, and maybe there's a slight breeze. And maybe I'm with a friend and we're sitting just on the beach. And so that's 14 seconds, probably just then. And you can transform your nervous system just by thinking about the beach or whatever it is. Maybe it's a person. And sometimes you might think, oh, I'm going to think of my grandma, but then you might find yourself sad because she has passed away. And so then you need to change your resource.
Right.
So that happens too. And we can do this anytime, anywhere, like any of the skills, and find yourself calming. And that's a resource. And that's skill number 2 after tracking. So there you go, one down.
Yep. Tracking, resourcing. And I love, one thing that I've used with kids who've had a lot of trauma too is an imagined resource, like a superhero or, a planet that's like far, far away and, has all of the favorite things that they want to do. And even if it's an imagined resource like that, it can be very powerful in helping to reset the nervous system. I love resourcing. We see a lot of other types of resourcing that happens, we've seen it with MC McDonald. She calls it tiny little joy. And so again, it's just, like Bonnie said, these are just one set of skills, but you can use anything to get your nervous system back into this present moment, because that's where your choice lies. That's where your nervous system is best suited to discern if it's a true threat or an imagined threat, right? So, and I love that what you said, like, when we're in these other states, like either anxiety or depression, it's because we're either future thinking or we're reflecting and really, what did you say? The present?
The precious present.
The precious present. Yeah, that's all we have is this present moment. And that's when we can do our best thinking. And going back to the example of the spilt milk that you used and doing a quick resource, I think it's in that moment when a parent might be thinking about all the things that they need to do, right? They're future thinking of all their chores, or they have to get their kid in the car seat now, and all of those other future tasks. The spilt milk is now in the present, and it's stressful, but how can you don't have to worry about all those future things. It helps you drop into this present and deal with exactly what you need to do. And I think that's really, really clear as far as a skill that can be used to really remember, this is the moment that I have. I'm not putting the kid in the car seat yet. I'm not doing that yet. I'm not doing this, right? I'm doing what's right now in front of me.
Yeah. And you would choose to use that resource if you felt your heart rate up, or tension in your neck, or the tracking, the noticing, the awareness, and then choose that skill. And go, I'm going to go to the beach for 10 seconds, and then I'll strap my child into their car seat, or talk to them about how to get in the car seat calmly, because that can be a very stressful thing.
All of these skills are used to track. So it's really wonderful.
You want to talk about grounding?
Sure. Yeah, grounding. So grounding is another skill of the community resiliency model, and it's used to sense the gravitational security around. So our nervous system has a relationship with gravity. That's how our DNA has evolved, and the gravitational support sends messages to our nervous system that allows us to know that we are here in the present and now. And so doing grounding can look a variety of different ways. You can do, if you go, there is also an app called the iChill app. It's free. You can go to ichillapp.com and download it. You can go to any app store that's on your devices and download it, and it will walk you through, I think, a 15-second grounding exercise that just does a whole body awareness. Or you can accommodate that grounding and you can just do it through your hands, like if you're presenting, and you can just press down on a table and just sense the support, or sense how your fingers are pressing down on a surface. Tune into the hardness, tune into the temperature of the surface. You can do this as you're walking. You can do like a grounded walking, noticing how your heel hits the ground, and then the ball of your feet, and then how your toes roll up. Doing a very mindful walk is also another type of grounding. A lot of cultures, especially cultures that are surrounded by water, will ground when they're floating. And so again, it's any surface that your body's making contact with, be it water or earth, noticing where that gravitational support, where that contact is being made in your nervous system, sends those messages to our nervous system that right now there's no threat. Right now I'm present. I'm sensing this right here. I'm touching this. I'm being supported in this moment. And it allows that parasympathetic nervous system to kick on and lower the heart rate, slow the breathing, and allow it to really get that wise out, making, decisions and thinking, being able to critically think. So yeah, I love grounding.
I love it. I can do it just in a chair at my desk.
Yeah. And nobody knows you're doing it.
Yeah.
This is probably and the resources are the two skills that we open a lot of our staff meetings with. And whenever we have a commission meeting, which is our large board that guides all of First Five's, our governance, we start with what we call a mindful minute. And so it doesn't take a full minute. It's just like 30 seconds. We take a minute to arrive, because we notice that, everyone is coming from all areas and all different other responsibilities. And it allows us to collectively drop in and be present at this meeting and not think about what we just stepped away from or what we need to step into, but really how we're showing up for this meeting. So we're all online at the same time and can be really present for our meetings.
Yeah. And one note about grounding that Elaine mentions is, sometimes and I have noticed this, I've had people comment, like if they have back pain or they're not in a good, they're having a hard day, it can make it worse. So it's important to know that you have the option to use your resource instead if you find that happening. It can just put you deeper into something. So you have your resource.
And I love that. So another resource, we'll just hop into Shift and Stay real quick, because I think they're two tied things. And we teach Shift and Stay late, and sometimes we don't teach it at all, but I think it's a very simple, powerful tool of noticing what else is true. And so it's a simple thing of, if you're doing a resource, and like you mentioned, you think of your grandma, and it makes you sad, right? Well, you can shift into what advice would your grandma say to you right now if she was here, right? So it could be a mixed resource because you miss her so much, but what would she say if she was here, right? So you're shifting into another way to connect to that resource, or you're shifting into another way to sense your own nervous system. And so shift and stay, you can shift out of one thing and then choose again to stay and focus on a different thing or notice a different thing. So,
and also in your body, you might, if there is a back pain, you could, maybe your foot is just fine and neutral. Exactly. And you can just think about your foot.
Yeah.
And then it takes the focus off of that back pain.
Yeah.
And that's shift and stay.
Yeah.
Also.
We were doing, a 5-day training. Again, I was during COVID and it was online, and having a 5-day training online for 6 or 7 hours a day can be very grueling, yes. Right? And so when we were teaching this skill, everyone was just like, I need to shift out of, the seat, and I need to shift out, and so it was really interesting to get permission, right? And this one woman had a lot of chronic pain, and was talking about how hard it was to be in this training and be online and be present on the screen. And Elaine walked her through a shift and stay, and it was really wonderful because, it was just that, this area of your body might be in chronic pain, and it's sending messages to your nervous system of like, hey, I'm here, do something about this, gotta fix this, gotta hear. And so she guided her to notice what else was true, right? Was there anything neutral? Was there anything pleasant? Another pleasant sensation? And she realized that she had previous tennis elbow, and so there was no pain in her elbows. And so she was just like, actually, I've been so focused on this neck problem that I didn't even notice that I'm having no pain in my elbows. So she focused her pain on her elbows, and then we continued the training, and then Elaine checked in with her, and she's like, how's that neck pain doing for you right now? She goes, I don't sense it at all, because it gave her nervous system something else to focus on, right?
Yeah, I've used that to go to sleep at night if I have a pain, like in my hip. Yeah. Then I focus on a different area, I go right to sleep.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. So shift and stay. So gosh, what did they learn today? Tracking, resourcing, grounding, shift and stay. That's 4 out of the 6 skills anyway. Jeez.
two more to go.
I guess 2 more to go. For those listeners, who are just tuning in, or have been, listening, I'm joined here with Bonnie. We are talking about the Community Resiliency Model. And mainly because we're going to be presenting the model, next week at a conference, for Mendocino County Office of Education. The conference is called Rooted and Belonging, a conference cultivating resilient schools and minds. If you're interested, you can go on to mcoe.us and look up and join the conference. And if you aren't able to join and are interested in the model anyway, please feel free to reach out to us, because we send people to get trained and provide trainings as well to agencies and what have you. So feel free to reach out to us. All right. Next skill.
Help now.
Help now. Should we do the help now skills? That sounds awesome. So, help now is a great skill because it can be used if a nervous system is stuck in the high zone or if it's stuck in the low zone. Now, we notice that typically we want to calm the parasympathetic system. It's usually overactivated. Sometimes that gas pedal just gets stuck on, and we need to activate the brakes. And so that's typical. But sometimes people do get stuck in the low zone. And so what I love again about this model is the help now skills can be used if you're elevated or if you're depressed. You don't need to say, well, that skill's only for that and this skill's only for this. They're going to use them to either slow it down or to speed it up, whatever the nervous system needs, right? And the help now strategies are just, they're just like some quick fixes. And we use these when often in our office, we'll notice somebody coming in and they're clearly activated. They're agitated. They're maybe looking for a resource they haven't been able to find, or they need help completing a form because they have a timeline to meet. And often the first thing we'll offer them is, would you like to sit down and have a glass of water? And drinking water is one of the help now skills, because when you're biologically doing something like swallowing and drinking or what have you, it immediately activates the parasympathetic system, because often when we're activated, we're dehydrated, right? And so like drinking a sip of water is one of the help now skills. And how you can teach the help now skills is in a mindful way is when you're teaching them, you can just say, take a sip of water, don't swallow it, but just notice when you have the water in your mouth, what areas do you sense the water in your mouth? What temperature is the water? Now slowly swallow the water, and how far down your throat can you sense the water? And that just really just activates your parasympathetic system. So just as Bonnie walked through deepening a resource, you can enhance these skills and just a little bit more noticing things, noticing what other sensations are being, kind of sensed during doing the activity. Bonnie also mentioned noticing your surroundings, noticing 6 colors, right? That's a help now skill. Just noticing what are the colors in the room. So when you find yourself reaching an edge of your okay zone, you can sense the colors or the temperature. That's another thing. Count backwards from a certain number. What are some of the other ones?
I find,
go ahead.
pushing your hands on a surface, pressing against the wall is a great one for children. They love that.
Yes.
These are especially effective with children.
Yeah, they really are. And like I said, I think activated adults can benefit from them too.
Everyone can benefit.
Yeah, everyone can benefit from them. But yeah, and then
I just find these are easier, like in the moment with children.
They are very much easier in the moment with children. Absolutely. So one of the help now skills, there's always always a caveat, right? We want to be as inclusive as possible. And so when pushing up against the wall, when you're working with certain populations, especially like incarcerated persons, that might be triggering, just that sensation of putting your arms against the wall and pushing into your walls, even though your arms would be activated.
Yes, you definitely have to be sensitive.
Sensitive to that. Know your audience. But also you can turn around, press your back against the wall, right? Press your back against the wall, put your butt against the wall, press down into your legs. What you want to do is you're activating those larger muscles to then have your parasympathetic system kind of kick on and realize, oh, there's nothing here to fight right now. I'm okay. I'm safe. I'm safer than I feel like I am.
Yeah, again, it brings you into the moment.
Yes, it brings you in the moment. So the help now skills are just that. They're just a collection of like skills that just bring you into the moment. Sensing the sounds. Like, what sounds do you hear right now? My boyfriend has this great app that when we go hiking, he can hear all the different birds and identifies the birds. I just love it because then we kind of like can learn their bird song, It's really fun.
I love
that. Listening to the sounds, noticing the colors, noticing temperatures. That grounding walking thing is definitely a help now skill. Just take a walk with me, right? Do you feel your feet on the ground? Super simple. What I really love about the help now skills is they're conversational. Mm-hmm. You don't have to say, I'm going to teach you a wellness skill right now. I'm just going to say, hey, what do you notice in the room?
Exactly. It worked a lot with my son. I would just, if I noticed he was agitated or not feeling well, I would say, what colors do you see? Can you tell me 6 colors that you're noticing? And so it's something, you could just instantly help somebody without going, oh, we're going to do a skill.
Right.
You can just offer them the water or have them push their hands on the table or just ask them the conversational question. And also, a big one is what has helped you get through this situation before. Mm-hmm. That's more conversational.
More of a conversational, when someone's...
I find that so helpful. I feel like it comes up almost every day for me. What has helped you before? And then people realize, oh, I've gotten through a hard time before. Yes. And this is how I did it.
Absolutely.
And I will try that now.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So we just have a few more minutes left to our show, but I think we could just do the gesturing. I mean, then our listeners have gotten all 6 skills that are literally in the palm of your hands. I really want to promote the free iChill app, which has all of the skills that we've been going over today, for the community resiliency model. The last skill is gesturing. And this one is really built on the mirror neuron network of our nervous system. And we didn't talk about mirror neurons, but if you have ever held a newborn baby or a 3-month-old baby and you smile at them and they smile back at you, that's a mirror neuron. If you ever have walked into a room and saw somebody yawning and then all of a sudden you have this sense of yawning, that's a mirror neuron in your nervous system firing. And so One way to build rapport is by mirroring, maybe some behaviors or what have you to build rapport with somebody, but it naturally happens. And so gestures are these things that we notice in somebody else that might be self-soothing for them, right? So sometimes when I'm nervous or just kind of like, have my hands together, I'll fiddle with my ring, right? It's a soothing gesture. My daughter, I notice, just plays with her hair. She'll just kind of stroke her hair, right? It's a soothing gesture. And so just noticing that gesture and offering them to notice that they're doing it, for one, because then they know that they can actually, instead of do it unconsciously, they can consciously do that gesture and soothe their nervous system. And so I don't know if you wanted to speak any more about gesturing, but.
Yeah. Also, I love if, you need a little confidence building, the superhero stance.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. I think of Wonder Woman right before she would spin into her outfit. She'd always put her hands on her hips and spin and had her hands on her hips, and she had confidence.
It's an intentional power pose.
Classic.
Yes.
And we actually did that with children at an event once, had them notice how they felt if they put their hands on hips in the superhero pose, and it just makes a difference. So sometimes if I need a little confidence, I stand up and put my hands on my hips. So
I love that.
Something as simple as that is that. And some are universal and some are very specific. So noticing your own specific one can really help you, and you may not know that you do it. And also there might be something that you notice in your child that you find annoying, and it might be soothing for them. Yeah. So it might be important to allow them to do it and maybe even encourage it when they need it.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. When you said that, it kind of made me think about my daughter who just shakes her leg all the time because she has a lot of anxiety. And I just noticed that with her, I know she's shaking your leg right now. Do you find that soothing? Do you find that relaxing? And she'll be like, I didn't know I was doing it. Yeah, I do. And then all of a sudden, when she notices it, it stops shaking. Then she'll stop shaking it once she notices that. It's interesting how that happens. We just have a few more minutes. Like I said, I just want to plug our conference one more time. I'm joined here with Bonnie. This is the First 5 Mendocino Community Hour that you've been listening to. If you like any of these programs, please go to kzyx.org and feel free to donate. There's a lot of great programs on this radio station. So we're just one of many that they have opportunity to be about. And we're going to be doing a conference at the Mendocino County Office of Education on June 24th. That's next Wednesday from 8 to 3:30. It's a conference called Rooted in Belonging. It's a conference cultivating resilient schools and minds. And so we're just going to be presenting to a bunch of educators. Some of the key concepts that we'll be going over are just going to be making sure that teachers have these skills that we've been talking about. So we talked about, how many skills did we go over? Did we go over all 6? All 6 skills. That's great. And we'll be giving them, I think, 2 or 3 and walking over them to have a belonging reset so they can learn to track themselves. They can track their students, and then have kind of a fallback, right? A little bit of awareness plan of what happens when they need to have a little resilience or belonging reset. So we really thank you for the time, your time today. And I'm going to take us out with hopefully some music. Let me see if I can get this restarted here. Thank you, everybody. If you want more information, please feel free to go to first5mendocino.org. That's first5mendocino.org. So you're going to spell out first, so number 5, Mendocino.org. You can feel free to email us any questions or topics that you would like us to talk about at admin@first5mendocino.org. No, it's not. It's First 5 Mendo. Our email's First 5 Mendo?
Yes.
Okay.
Mendo.org. Yes.
Admin at first5mendo.org. We'll get it eventually. Who do we call? Ghostbusters? But thank you for your time today.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Bonnie, for joining us. It really, really had fun. So here's a little bit of Madonna. Don't tell me.
Don't tell me to stop. Tell the rain not to dry. Tell the wind not to blow. 'Cause you said so. Tell the sun not to shine.
tuned to KZYX Philo 90.7 FM, KZYZ Willits and Ukiah 91.5 FM, K201HR, Fort Bragg 88.1 FM. Together, we make Mendocino County Public Broadcasting listener-supported community radio. We also stream live on the web at kzyx.org.
Support for KZYX comes from our members and the Mendocino Transit Authority, offering a summer youth pass with unlimited rides from June 1st through August 31st. For more information, 1-800-696-4MTA or any MTA bus driver. MTA, your ride to summer freedom, PA, or any MTA bus driver. MTA, your ride to summer freedom, celebrating 50 years of service.